back on air. Sorry about that. Just a couple of gremlins there. We're just waiting for everybody to ready up and get back into it. And I do understand we're going to have a short qualifying session again just before we start. So those nice times by the likes of Amuna and them, they will have to redo all of that.
Those times will be cancelled out. That's all the hard work from the D-man to get into second place. He's going to have to do that again. Just having a look up at the time remaining. Okay, so it's going to be a 10-minute qualifying session. It's going to be sort of like a little shootout.
Everybody's going to go on track now. I can't see these guys sitting here and just waiting. So
Judge sits motionless for the time.
I think he just wants a bit of a gap before he goes.
3 AI have hit the track. First of the human drivers out on circuit, the D-man. This car is always going to remind me of the safety car.
Yes, man. I don't see Devon, so it looks like there's connection problems.
Don't see Devon on the list, unfortunately. Obviously, this is still a qualifying session for the next 9 minutes. So if you can manage to get in here,
you can still make the race.
And still join. See Chen. Bright orange.
We just increased back to 14. There's Devon. I can see Devon now. He's showing on the list.
Don't know if you've noticed, Jan, Chen in the Merc has got the Golf livery. That's actually a petrol station that is new in South Africa.
Yeah, Golf, yeah.
It's been recently introduced. I've actually got one up the road that
and yet the name Golf recently. And yet the name Golf I've seen before. But yeah, like you say, now it's becoming more common. It's like another one that I've seen more towards the east, but a petrol station called Puma.
Oh yes. That's actually not a South African petrol station, funnily enough.
No, I thought as much.
I think they're based in Lesotho. They're either based in Lesotho or Eswatini, or previously known as Swaziland. They're either from Swaziland or from Lesotho, like originally, and now they've actually branched out into South Africa, and they're a lot cheaper than some other petrol stations in terms of franchising. So if you want to open one, that's why more and more are popping up.
Unfortunately, it's just a pity for us as consumer. You don't get cheaper petrol.
No, absolutely.
That would have been awesome. Imagine you could actually support a petrol station like a supermarket. You go to the one that's the cheapest.
It's actually quite a trip. I'm sure if you're familiar with MotoGP, like Repsol, from Repsol Honda. Mm-hmm. Repsol is obviously a Spanish oil company and also a petrol station within Spain. In Portugal, their biggest petrol station is called Galp, Galp. Mm. And if you cross the border here in South Africa, if you cross the border over into Swaziland, you get a crazy trip because there's Galp petrol stations everywhere. And they're built to the exact blueprint of the Portuguese ones. It's just so weird. The moment you cross the border, you get these different petrol stations. What's also interesting about the Gulf petrol stations is all their stores are named after circuits.
Okay.
So the Gulf petrol station up the road from me, the store is called Brands Hatch.
Why would it be Brands Hatch? Anyway, you're talking about Repsol. I saw something the other day that one of our friends, Mr. DW, would be proud of. Oh, Jen's losing that bag in again. Of course, we all know DW. Before, in recent weeks, he was a huge Honda fan. Of course, had a Honda himself, and you talk about the Repsol. I actually saw a delivery bike the other day where the dude actually, normal delivery bike with a box at the back. But the bike is actually a Honda with a Repsol racing, the racing colors to the teeth. It looked exactly like the MotoGP bike. But of course, only a 125cc with a delivery box. So obviously another Honda fan, so I couldn't help but to think of DW. So if DW would have been a delivery guy. That probably would have been his setup as well. But the whole Repsol Honda livery, but orange.
One of our racers that was with us at just about every single event.
Muna back on it, 148.4.
Hope to see him back on track at some stage after his relocation to our nation's capital.
And of course a lot happening there as well. We wish him well, but we're sure we will see him somewhere, even if it's just for the odd visit.
Even if it's for the odd guest appearance. Always welcome back.
Of course, yes.
See Gav now in second, so he might
and he finally got to the 150. Because he just managed 151, now he got to the 150, so he's finally getting it.
Might benefit from the second qualifying session. We know he didn't have the perfect run in that first qualifying session.
Just like the judge has got a penalty.
Times.
Yeah, the judge has got a penalty.
It's just what we can do is we can do this, bring up the timing screen, and then we can just get clarity on
one grid
place. There we go. So just 4 minutes remaining on the clock. It's a long lap this, 2 points, almost just, let's say, just under 2 minutes. So probably get this run and another. If you have enough fuel in the car.
If you have enough fuel, that's the key thing.
D-Man currently on provisional pole with a 148.3, just barely in front of the Muna. Gonna lose pole from that initial qualifying session if he doesn't improve on this. Just needs to find a 10th, just a little bit of slipstream. Maybe get himself through a chicane with a little bit better momentum than he did before. It's just a 10th. It's easier said than done. How many times have you been out there on time trial looking for a 10th? Got Mismax in third, no movement from the pits. Just see the nose of the Audi sticking out of the pits there, no activity from there. Just under 3 minutes remaining on the clock. He's going to come out, he needs to do it soon. Gavin currently in fourth.
Now's the time to do something, because make it all count.
There's Max still in the pits, no movement there from the Audi.
Look, even
Muna
if
currently in second.
If Muna stays in second, if he can have one of those amazing pullaways of him into that first chicane, oh, things are going to get tight. I can see all three the top three actually arriving in that corner at the same time.
This is something we've said multiple times, is that we're used to the F1 and we talk about the F1, but we forget where endurance racing is different, and I don't really think you're going to win the race based on if you started from pole or if you started from second.
At the end of the day, it's important. First you need to finish.
This is really just about the very first stage of your race strategy.
And remember the saying, and remember that good old saying, you never ever win a race into the first corner, but you sure as hell can lose it into the first corner.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think, like I said previously, I wouldn't be surprised if this is the tightest turn one we're going to have on the calendar. I can't think of anything more. It's really narrow, it's 90 degrees followed by a 90 degree, another 90 degree in the opposite direction, and there's just not a lot of space in there. And like you say, if the guys try to win it in turn one, things can end very badly. And
as we already saw in this session, as well as our initial qualifying session, a lot of cars coming through the Ascari chicane actually tend to lose the back end, getting very power hungry too early, and then the back end just stepping out. Whereas you can actually carry a lot of speed in there, but it's all about throttle control. Just don't be too, and as I say it, Muna demonstrates it. Into the barriers. Exactly what I just said, and it happened. There's a good example.
I think he just tried to hop onto the power too early there, so he could get everything onto that straight approaching Parabolica,
and it's possible, but your timing need to be so right. It's the same with the F1 car. If you just get onto it too fast, you can even spin your F1 car there. Which of course we spoke about earlier, which Vettel did.
Absolutely, he's done it a few times. He's actually become synonymous for it.
Ooh,
we just watched Judge going off track. Goes for a trip through the gravel. Let's have a look further down. Man who just managed to join the session at the last moment hasn't been able to really get a
Mr. Director, can you just bring us the times back up for our grid as a setting currently? Thank you, and just also the other screen as well once you're done with this, so that you have a live timing. Thank you.
There we go. So
just for one, just for one penalty so far, which is the judge. So Chen Chen also scored from the session because no penalty this time, so he's well and truly into fourth.
I said that D-Man might have lost that well-earned second place.
Look at that gap, my word, that's close. Yo.
He didn't lose the second place, he managed to get pole.
But look at how close it is between him and Muna. And even Nismax is in there, under a second from each other. Muna not being able to get to that 147 as he did in the previous session.
So we'll just ride for the time being with Devon, the only human driver on track. Did manage to improve that lap time. It's no longer in 14th. Got himself up to 10th, but he's
he abandoned it.
Disappeared into the pits. So your only runners left on the circuit are AI drivers.
Yeah, that's correct.
Just using this time now to see if they have any second thoughts. Now they have an opportunity. How many times do the guys run out of fuel because they messed something up at the start? So you're getting a second chance at it. Hope everyone works out their fuel strategies correctly. Just have a look at the results. Obviously, they have changed since that first qualifying session. We had issues there. So D-Man, Muna and Nismax, those are your top three. Chen 4th, Gavin 5th. And we've jumped straight to the grid. Let's just see. Let's do what we did in the beginning. We'll ride at the start of the race on board with the man in 3rd, so we can get a good view of the start.
Just waiting for everybody to just finish up the last tweaks and stuff.
So obviously top 5 made up of human drivers. D-Man, Muna 2nd, no gap there whatsoever, it was like a 10th. Nismax 3rd, Chen 5th.
Chen 4th,
Gavin 5th. Look for our next human driver. You're going to find him down in 9th because qualified in 8th. We've got a 1 grid place penalty. So the judge in his yellow Porsche and Devon 10th.
We're going to have 5, potentially 5 human drivers going for it in the front with these 2 here in the mid pack. Interesting. Because Gav Peak, if he can get his lines and braking points right, can also be right there in the mix. Here we go. See if we can get that view. And it's a go!
There we go, we're right on board with Chen. He's currently in 3rd place, so it seems like he's just been able to get ahead of Nismax. Nismax 4th. They're going to turn 1.
Muna with his pull away, and he's done it. Muna's put it on the inside, managed to take that corner first.
Nicely done.
Muna with his famous, one of his famous pullaways, managed to make that second spot actually count better than the pole position. And once again, Muna has had a fabulous pull away. And
Fantastic
Nesmax
start.
putting
And
Chen
nice
under
to see
pressure now.
Nice to see a clean turn one. Was worried about that. Now we've got the Audi.
And Devon up to 5th. From 10th up
Devon
to
up
5th.
to 5th. We were worried about his time. He was in 14th. He managed to get a time in. Started in 10th. And look at that. He's putting pressure on... he could be putting pressure on Nismax if Nismax can't get past Chen.
And
Got
the
Devon in
Gaff,
5th.
and Gaff, the biggest loser of that top 5.
Gavin
Now
sitting
making his way
7th
back up
in
to
the Renault.
7th. See if he can get that 6th position or put the wheel on the grass.
Just getting
Going
on
on
the
the outside.
grass.
Can he? Yeah, he's going to attack it in just in front of the Porsche. And Gav is up
Like
to
he's
6th.
Pulled it off.
So let's see if he
Nicely done,
can
up to sixth
push
place.
after these guys.
Means your top 6 drivers are human controlled.
Chen and Nismax still battling here. Oh, Nismax putting a wheel on the grass there.
Just running out of a little bit of, just running out of space. It
Different lines, both drivers using coming through, of course, the final corner onto the home straight now.
Parabolica
I was just about to correct myself there, thanks Jonathan.
was on the tip of your tongue.
It was,
Parabolica.
and it was with old time, and now it needed it, don't want to come out. Typical. Nismax now
Do you know what
right
do you know what Parabolica is Italian for? I know this because it means the same thing in Portuguese.
Please
Dish.
enlighten us. Eh?
Parabolica is a dish.
A dish. Okay.
Yeah. Like a satellite dish, like a dish. So Parabolica. There we go.
Nismax can
Just
have
like
another go,
Interlagos.
just lining Chen up again, staying right on Chen. See what he can do this time.
Wants to be careful. It's not the widest of tracks.
These two are actually falling back now from from D-Man and Muna. Chen running wide. Oh! No, that was not good racing from Chen. Chen actually came back. He ran wide and he came back in and he actually pushed Nismax in the barrier.
Nismax now down to 5th. A lot of damage. He's, oh my word, that does not look good. So he's going to obviously have to get back to the pits.
Okay, I asked the question earlier.
Can you see what I see? What
Gav?
Nismax's car? Do you see anything wrong with it?
What I don't see wrong with it?
No, on the YouTube stream it looks absolutely fine, and on my screen you can only see the roof of the car.
No, I saw
The
a
rest of the
broken
car is in the
windscreen.
ground. Absolutely, wow. Winner leads this race.
Look,
He
absolute
got that
irony.
fantastic start.
I asked earlier what can be done to catch Nismax. How to prevent Nismax from running away with it. Well, I guess that's one way to do it, take him out. But that was not nice.
Not in that way.
Because Chen did run wide there and he actually came back after being wide. Nismax already committed to the inside and he came all the way back across and got in front of Nismax and made contact and pushed him into the barriers.
Obviously his race is going to change very much. He's on lap 3 and anything he had planned as a strategy is out the window.
Correct.
And now it's going to be a matter of maybe filling up that tank, putting on the hardest tire and seeing how far you can go.
Oh, D-Man runs wide. Wow, and he manages to get over speed.
And takes longer than he would have wanted to get back on track.
And Gaffpeak looks like Gaffpeak. Gaffpeak is coming up now on Devon. Devon is under huge pressure there.
Let's have a look at Gav in the Renault. Coming up behind Devon.
I'll try to not close enough. Not close enough.
Just showing the Renault badge there to the mirror of Devon, letting him know. But at the same time doesn't want to make mistakes of his own. Just wants to stay behind Devon. Put pressure on him. Force him into a mistake. Or maybe just slipstream and here through Parabolica. do what you can into turn 1. I'm sure he's tried to switch on DRS already. Not gonna work.
I think he's pressing the DRS button.
I would be pressing the DRS button right now.
He was losing. He actually lost some time in that final sector. I was going to go for a late launch.
For the inside, but he was too far behind.
Way too far. That was a very late decision.
Decided against it. I think that was the initial plan. I think he was going to follow him through Parabolica and hopefully the slipstream would be strong enough to get him into turn 1. But that wasn't the case. And then I think that was a last ditch effort to make that particular strategy work out for him. Right on board with Chen, currently 3rd. He's 2 seconds behind the D-man.
Who's now also 6 seconds behind Muna.
He's now 4 seconds behind Muna, that's correct. He made a mistake, we saw that, ran wide, got on the gravel and...
But he kept his cool and he actually eased over gas and he kept it out of the barrier because that would have cost him a lot more because as we saw what happened with Nismax. Because damage, you'll drive slower and you're going to have to stop costing you valuable time in these early stages.
How we said endurance racing is a completely different kettle of fish, and if you look at Nismax, he was in a very strong position and now his race is entirely different. He's 1 minute behind your leader and so he's going to have he's obviously still very far from the AI, so I don't think he needs to worry about traffic or anything like that. But unfortunately, we've got that little glitch that we've encountered a few times, and that.
I think Muna made a mistake. Gap is now down. Gap came down between him and D-Man.
Gavin
passed, but Devon is not going to give up yet. But for now, it looks like Gavin's got that 4th place.
Gavin up into 4th. D-Man in 2nd. I don't know if he made a mistake. That gap's growing. 4.8 seconds now. Seems to be coming down again. Here's your leader.
If you look at the last lap day comparison, Muna was slower, but only slightly.
Started in 2nd. But he wasn't going to let that 2nd place affect his starting strategy. Wasn't going to get stuck behind any traffic in the beginning of the race. Made sure he got through there on turn 1. And he just got off the mark like a bullet.
Just to keep a clear head and build some sort of gap.
D-Man still in a strong 2nd place. Chen 3rd. Gav not far behind, just a 2nd, just over a 2nd. This is the race that Gavin's concentration will finally come right. We know he's a fast driver, probably one of the fastest on the grid when he's really on song.
And as you say that, from that shot it looked like he definitely made some time up on Chen.
Now he's up in
running wide. Yeah, it's actually getting. It's giving it back to Devon. Or not yet. We're going to go all out here, racing for that first corner. But at a crash in
just
front.
Have this. He's going to have the inside
line.
Will there be space? Hopefully no collisions here. Both cars in good positions, 4th and 5th respectively.
And Gav brakes a lot later, and he's actually going to keep it.
I think Devon might have just backed out of that a little bit.
Just a little bit more
cautious. You're on the inside, but you're not really where you want to be for the braking. But that's promoted Gav back up to 4th. Now he's going to repeat of what we've seen in previous races. He's going to have to catch Chen again. And he's going to have to... Seemed like he had done the hard work. He was just a 2nd behind. Now 1.9 seconds, so... That mistake cost him 9/10.
And Nismax is a man on the move. He now lapping under the 150s.
while we just leave the camera on your leader for a few moments, let's bring up your timing screen so we can have a look at some lap times. On the last lap, Munna set a 150.8, D-Man a 150.6, so the man in second slightly quicker, and then nobody really close to that category.
Except
until
for
you get down to
Nismax
the
at
bottom.
the bottom. Correct.
Nismax a 150.0. Fastest man on the previous lap.
And his fastest lap is right there with D-Man and Munna.
Fastest lap of the race, that would be, yeah, fastest lap of the race is Munna, but not by much.
Munna, D-Man and Nismax are the only guys who managed so far to lap within the 1 minute 49.
Really impressed with how close this is. When you look at those lap times, the pace is really close. Guys have obviously practiced. They're pushing their limits.
And of course now, sun is setting.
You can obviously see the lights of the various car models are now starting to burn brighter.
And Gav's got a penalty.
Actually going to be interesting for me. I think it's going to be my first ever encounter with Monza at night. I'm not sure if I've ever seen Monza in a night setting. I think it could be interesting.
That's going to be very interesting.
Obviously, as mentioned in qualifying, the beginning of the race, what you're watching right now, the first half an hour, it is guaranteed that we will have clear, dry weather. But for the last 60 minutes of the race, the weather will be set to dynamic, and we could see anything really. I think snow is switched off as an option. But that could have been amazing.
Yo.
But I think it's switched off as an option. But it is there. I don't think it's on.
If you think having rain is tough, just put in a bit of snow in there while you're at it.
Not sure how Gavin there in fourth place would feel about snow falling on the track.
I don't think he will be very happy.
I don't imagine that will be the case. So now we go down to 11th place to have a look at another one of our drivers, Judge.
Judge looks like
also
he's similar
to Gav.
Lonely race compared to the other human players.
Been loyal to that car, loyal to that livery. Stuck with the same yellow cars throughout all of the rounds so far. Finds himself in 11th place. And then we'll just go down
that
to
Audi
14th.
behind him didn't look so lekker either. It looked like the car was wobbly.
There we go, there's the car.
Ooh.
Yeah, and speaking of, doesn't look too fantastic.
Doesn't look good. Yes, the Audi we want to see.
Max. He's in last, it's not where he should be.
That's truly a lonely race.
Championship leader. I think he's gotten really used to the lonely races. Just
on the other side
he's in front of the field.
Yes, that's it.
Rather
but not
than,
at the back.
But now, interestingly enough, he will eventually begin to catch those AI. And as we mentioned in qualifying, the AI difficulty has been set up. So he might have his hands. He's a very fast driver, I doubt it, but I think at one or two corners he might get his hands full with some of these AI drivers. Nothing slow about him.
He's about 19 seconds off a car in front of him, so he's definitely catching.
That gap was much bigger when he came out of the pits. Let's go back up to the front. Gavin is in 4th place. He's 8/10 of a second behind Chen as they reach the main straight, heading towards turn 1. Now, these first couple of laps, you're more experienced in the endurance side of things than I am. These first couple of laps, when it begins to get dark, do you do you take it easy for a couple of laps and reevaluate your braking points and just, okay, things look like this now, or because it puts me off. The first couple of laps really put me off.
One thing I can
even
tell
in F1.
you, look, yeah, it's still a bit light, but it's darker. You're already starting to battle to spot your braking point. But I can promise you, once it's dark, it looks like a complete different track. Yes, you've did a couple of laps already, same track, but I promise you, it looks a lot different when it's dark. And to spot your braking points, it's tough. Because it's pretty much still the same place, but it doesn't look the same at night than what it looks like in day. So it's going to take a lot of concentration to make sure you get those braking points right, keep it where it was. Otherwise, you're going to lose a lot of time in that night stint.
Right on board the Renault RS01 of Gavpig.
Oh, and Chen,
and it seems like a mistake by Chen.
Chen lost it.
Sorry about that. Mistake by Chen. There we go. He's in the barriers. That has promoted Gavin. He's up into third place with a clear track ahead of him. Not sure of the fuel situation, but got a clear track ahead of him, and if he can just get a couple of quick laps, a couple of clean laps without mistakes, he can potentially fight for a podium later on in this race.
He must just keep it clean,
But
keep his
do
head.
not count out Nismax.
Definitely not. I mean,
I'm
from
sure
19 now, that gap is only 15 seconds when he's going to start actually catching cars. Because if you look ahead of him, there's not much of a gap between the cars in front of him. Only basically from 6 and higher, the gap actually increases. So once he catches the car in front of him, he's going to start making up positions.
Great
Make up his places there. And he's probably...
of your leader.
He's probably going to catch up with Chen just now, because Chen is in the pits. There we go. Nismax now is moving up to 13th. And now Chen is actually in last position.
More yellow lights this time of the Audi. Nismax up into 13th. And
now only
the car ahead of him now. The AI ahead of him, 12.8 seconds.
I saw what just looked like raindrops. And
I knew what you were going to say. I saw it half a lap ago.
On the stroke of night time.
I saw it half a lap ago, and I thought it was my imagination, and I didn't want to say anything because I saw clouds and I saw clear sky, and I was like, no, surely that can't be. But
there's definitely drops coming down here.
That's definitely a raindrop
right there.
Rain.
Now things are getting interesting. And I see Chen also now with a penalty, probably speeding in the pit lane.
I am just going to assume
and this man now 11 seconds
right now
the car in front of him
is cursing. Maybe not out loud, but definitely in his head.
Definitely.
Got it up into third place. He's gotten up into a strong position. He's raced well. We just saw that one mistake that made him have to pass 7
unlike previous
twice.
Races, he was a lot calmer tonight. Of course, we can't. I won't hold Australia against him because Bathurst is never an easy track. A lot of people struggle there, and there's a lot of barriers. But this has actually been one of his best races, and he showed a lot of patience tonight. But now the rain is coming.
Now with the rain coming down, it's one of those situations where you're going to see fast drivers who are fast regardless in the dry and in the wet.
And there's still an hour and 10 minutes left. The rain actually came earlier than what I thought, but I actually predicted a night
rain through the night. Yes, you did, and I called it a worst case scenario.
And here we have it. So it's gonna come down to the driver that can actually adapt the best to it. And this match now under 10 seconds behind that AI car in 12th.
You can have a track that is familiar, but not quite, because it's in the dark, plus it's raining. So,
and of course a wet track means increased braking distance.
increased brake distance.
And now to spot the new braking spot at night, and we just spoke about it earlier, how tough it is to spot your braking point that you're so used to, and now you have to adjust it to make up for the wet track. Because as any racer would know, if it's wet, you need to stop earlier, brake earlier. And Chen is in the pits again.
Chen in the pits again. That will just dig him deeper into last place. Now it's almost 3.5 minutes behind your leaders. Devon's still doing a good job of things in 4th place. Started the race from 10th.
Definitely the driver that actually gained the most places at the start. And really made that start count for him. Nesmax now, if Mr. Director, if we can get a shot at him, is like 3 seconds behind the car in front of him. He's really making up time now on those AI. And a whole bunch of them in front of him. Yeah, getting closer and closer and closer. Days. But of course, as we also said before, it might look like he's still got a lot of damage, but in theory he don't.
And another thing to remember, that you look at that gap and you think that's a ridiculous gap. I'm in 13th place, I'm a minute behind the leader, race is over. You're thinking in terms of F1, a minute means nothing.
Now, yeah, a minute
means nothing. How many of these cars ahead of Nismax
Pit stops is a lot longer here as well.
How many of these cars ahead of him have some form of damage?
Which will also slow him down further in those pit stops.
That could increase that, but I mean, a minute in the pits is really not really a long pit stop in this game. So this could really throw him up, I'd say, amongst the top 5, top 6.
Definitely. There we go, just letting that AI know he's there. And this was on the inside. Oh, just going a bit of wide there. Battling with the AI, keeping his line. Yeah, he's got it.
It's not going to allow him to take that back, and he's moved up into 12th. So I think we'll see him.
His next victim will be the judge, and that Porsche definitely has got damage.
We'll see him pass a handful of cars now.
And I don't think the judge will fight him too hard. And as I say, the judge even goes on the grass to get out of his way, on his way to the pits.
And into the pits for the judge. That
promotes now to 11th.
Was in 14th at a stage. Just kept on putting in those lap times. As we noticed earlier, he was doing the same lap times as your first and second place drivers. The only man able to match them at this point.
I think after tonight,
by 8 seconds.
After what happened, I think he will be happy with any type of points. But now with him being able to catch up with those cars, he's actually going to make positions now. Because if you look at that time, if you look at all those times there, he's actually within reach, even up to this car currently in 7th. And even between 6 and 7 is not a huge gap, and then before you know it, 5th. So he can actually get up to 5th within the next couple of laps with the speed he's carrying.
In terms of the championship, it is absolutely important that you finish the race.
Definitely.
No matter how much you want to rage quit or something like that, you need to remember that the AI you see on that list, they do not get points. So any human driver that is behind the AI will get points. So even if you finish in 14th, 10 minutes behind, depending on how many people are actually racing, you could potentially finish in 5th or 6th and take home a handful of points.
That's why just keep cool and race.
Even if Nismax were to finish in 5th, it's really no, it's not the worst case scenario, because I mean Munna had a disconnect 2 rounds earlier where he collected no points.
Nismax was just do damage limitation.
It's just damage limitation here because Muna did obviously miss that round. I believe he had a power trip or something like that, and we can't get back into the lobby.
Which again, as we said before, that makes F1 so wow when it comes to multiplayer. You disconnect and you're able to join again and take control of your car. No other online racing game I've seen that with as yet.
I have to say, if at the very beginning of our racing leagues when we started and everybody had very, very iffy connections, if F1 was built like this, I don't think TNB and midweek racing and SAA, all of the leagues that we have would not be around if F1 was that bad on connection.
Correct.
It's actually the most forgiving racing game on connection that I can think of.
And
the fact that you can get back into the race even if you're battling for 20 minutes with your modem, and
Nesmax goes up to 10th. Yeah, Nesmax into 10th.
Nicely done.
And he will soon be back going into 9th, yes. Ooh, and looks like
where is he? There he is.
Looks like the D-man now also with a penalty. That can also be speeding in the pit lane. I think he's also speeding in the pit lane. He just pitted. Nesmax now coming, he's lining him up. Surely that Audi's got much better pace. Going on the inside, versus definitely his position. 9th now, and not far from that car in 7th place.
Yeah, I thought about it and then nothing
decided
in it.
Against it.
Just have a look. Sorry about that. Wrong car. Nesmax. The timing screens. So those lap times are. I think the rain is starting to affect the guys. The lap times are not what they were a couple of laps ago. I just brought this screen up so we could have a look at the penalties. So Gavin just getting a 1 second penalty, so nothing too serious.
But Chen and
the D-man, that is a pretty serious penalty, 10 seconds. So as well as for Chen. So obviously he's not having.
But Chen at the moment in last position, so it's not going to really affect him.
But obviously, like I said, very important, even if you are at this situation in the race where you're last and over a minute behind, the AI do not collect points. So he will be easily inside points.
Like Gav is on the pits, Devin is also in the pits and Bermuda.
It's just
oh, and that from that shot we just saw, it looks like if you look at the pit, the pit lane, where the track is starting to look a lot wetter.
I wonder now, what is the deal with the tires? What are the guys doing? Are they going wets? Are they staying dries? I don't think it's
a little
ready.
bit. It's too early for wet.
I don't think it's ready.
And this will also bring Nesmax back into contention.
Look at the AI. The AI are all in the pits. Devin's in there with them.
Nesmax actually pitted
Gavin's
again.
in there with them. Nesmax
I actually think this is wet tires because Nesmax is back in there, and if you look at that shot as well, that track actually looks a lot wetter.
I think this is wet because there's just too many people in the pits at once.
Correct. I also think this is wet.
There's Muna. He's given up the lead of the race in that pit stop. But remember, the man ahead of him has a 10-second penalty. So Muna does not need to be concerned. Can really just follow that car around now. The guys all got. I saw that these two leaders actually got out of the pits very quickly, so I don't think they
went very heavy on fuel.
Topped up on too much fuel.
And of course, a little bit just under an hour left. And speaking of topping up, it looks like Nesmax actually stopped a bit longer again, so he's definitely playing the longer game now. Muna within 2 seconds.
Just think that Muna has a lot more fuel in his car than D-Man, because D-Man was not in the pits for a very long time, just flashing his lights there.
Yeah, showing Chen that he was coming out of a pit that he's there.
Just letting him know, hey, these are the leaders.
And Muna's catching D-Man actually.
He is catching him. Wonder if he's aware of the 10-second penalty. I'm sure he's not.
No, Muna, he's not going to rely on that. He's going to obviously want to do it on track.
I think they're all in game chat, so they're probably all in communication with each other. But Muna wants to win it on track. Another 2 AI making late pit stops there. Judge running around 13th. Number that actually matches him in F1. His usual racing number is 13.
And of course part of his game name, but Judge 13.
Nesmax currently 10th. Had a shunt at the top of the field with Chen earlier on in the race, pushed him down to last place.
He's chasing that guy ahead of him, definitely. Chasing down that guy in 9th. 5-second gap.
Down to 14th.
He's actually, yeah, there we go, up to 9th. He should also get up to 8th. Here we go. Nesmax now up to 8th.
He was able to pick them one by one, and then the rain came. So, what is this? Is Plan C? Getting into Ferrari territory for Nesmax.
We have Plan C.
I mean, I'm sure that wasn't part of the plan. Like coming in on lap 3. Sure, neither was this.
Unfortunately, if it's
Just
happened.
go up to the front again and look at the gap at the front. There's nothing in it. 4/10 of a second. Muna wants to retake the lead of this race. A little bit of traffic up there ahead. And just from a commentary perspective, looking at this, do you see Monza right now?
No.
Do you recognize this as Monza?
Not.
If you ride on board, you'll see the shape of it, but just from this, this doesn't look like Monza.
If you don't pay attention, if you don't really keep a conscious mind of where they are, no, you won't say it's Monza. But of course, here now on board, I know this is that long back straight coming from sector 2 into sector 3. Through Vascari. Oh, D-Man making his movie. Muna trying to get his AI. Oh, D-Man had an incident. I wonder if he and the AI got together. And it looks like there might have been another penalty.
Camera angle. What happened there? Seems like
one moment he was ahead of the AI, and then next moment he actually pulled to the side, which actually handed the Muna the race lead.
Muna would have absolutely loved that. He's now into the lead of the race, and he's been handed a 2.3 second cushion for safekeeping. D-Man currently in second, but Gavin behind him, but that's
he's some distance off, yes.
Quite a gap between second and third, so Nesmax
running now in 7th. It's just behind that car in 6th, not a lot of time. He's going to actually, and then before you know it, he's going to catch up with 5th and then 4th. So Nesmax can actually get there to 4th position.
Obviously,
and then he can start chasing after Gavin.
Important for D-Man just to monitor that gap behind him and remember that 10-second penalty. And I wonder how much fuel he has in the car. He really wasn't in the pits for long. I mean, that's how he jumped Muna. I don't think he put fuel in at all. I'm not sure. But he did have a very short pit stop. So I'm predicting he's going to come in shortly. Gavin in third, that may even promote Gavin, but so they haven't looked at the fuel, and I'm not even going to start guessing when it comes to Gavin and fuel. So actually I shouldn't have mentioned them in the same sentence. Commentator's curse. Gavin currently in third, but if that is the case, if the D-man with his 10-second penalty did not put in a lot of fuel, then I think Gavin will slot into second. He's having a good race so far. Wet weather, challenging times.
He's keeping his cool, which is unlike Gavin.
Challenging conditions, not the easiest, and he's doing a good job. Chen's still running around in 13th.
Nesmax now up to 6 and closing
Judge
down.
running around 13th.
Yeah, he's definitely chasing down Devin. Before you know it, Devin and Nesmax gonna have a lucky battle there.
So can you believe it? Nesmax up with the human control drivers once more. Third after the pit stops. Might find himself in 5th or 6th. Something like that.
Of course, if he can get in ahead of Devin, that will take him to 4th position at the end of the race if things were to end like it is now. Of course, as you said earlier, no points for AI. Was it just showing Devin is there?
Flashing his lights, letting Devin know, I want to come by.
Of course,
I think 52 minutes remaining on the clock. I don't think the podium is
out of reach.
Left his mind just yet.
I mean, if he can get past Devin, he's going to chase down another AI, which is just in front of him. They both basically, they're all three together.
I think he agrees with us. I think that flick of the lights was either agreeing with the commentary team or it was telling Devin to get out the way. But either way, he's definitely got podium aspirations and he's pushing.
Well, he can actually he will definitely put a lot in to chase Gav down, and if he do that, he's definitely got that 3rd place. Devin now managed to pass for AI, so now next in line will be Nesmax, and then he will start chasing after Devin again.
This will just give Devin some much needed breathing space.
But for how long, that's the question.
Doesn't want to relax too much. What he actually needs to do is make the most of this.
Correct. And Nesmax going on the inside of the AI. Car. And Nesmax going to make it stick. Yep, he's into 5th.
And there we go. That was the short little time period that I said Devin
not much breathing space, and Nesmax is on it again.
Nesmax got by and he's right there. He actually Devin runs a lot wider around that corner. Yes. It just allows Nesmax really to close up the gap.
Much tighter line.
We'll see Nesmax in the top 4 shortly. We'll stay with this battle for now because there's no battles really to speak of in your top 3. So let's just keep our eyes on Devin and Nesmax. 4th and 5th place. They've been doing a good job of defending under pressure in difficult conditions. Monza in the rain at night. I don't know.
Surprisingly light.
Yeah, not lighter than I actually expected really because we all know Monza doesn't have floodlights.
Out of Parabolica, a tighter line again. This is going to be an all-out race for the start finish now, and Nesmax is actually it. A tighter line actually was the better line. He's going to have the inside into that first corner.
He able to get through.
Oh, he definitely made it with some distance to spare.
There we go. Yeah, he gets through before turn 1.
Nesmax going to chase after Gavpeak now.
His next opponent will be Gavpeak, who is 27 seconds up the road, but fear not. We saw Nizmax almost 1 minute 20 behind at a stage. And now at the podium, 25 seconds up the road. Hasn't given up on it yet. There's the man he's going to have to catch. Gavin's in third. There you can see on screen. Nizmax behind him, 26.1 seconds. D-Man ahead of him, 45 seconds ahead. And then the winner is continuing to dominate this race from the front. Now having the last thing you want is to go off track because of a battle lapping an AI.
No, that's not worth it.
Just getting a bit side by side there with an AI. I feel they're a little bit too racy when they're being lapped. They really should just get off the power, but they seem to come back at you.
But it's the same with F1 2019. You come to lap on the race you before we give you the position.
I totally understand the AI being racy in the race and not letting you by, because that's sort of the point. But when you're being lapped, they really don't make it easy.
Nope.
Down in fourth place, we've got Devon. And Nizmax is with Devon again. Look at this side by side down the straight.
There was a bit of error there.
I think Nizmax has got the better of him. He's got the inside line. And as the lap before, it just seems like Devon just backed out of it a little bit.
Not as racing to that corner, playing with safer, taking the safer option.
Got to be cautious. It's wet out there, and I mean, I get my braking points wrong for that turn in the dry. So
imagine the wet.
He has managed to get past Nizmax once more. Nizmax just not having a good time of it at the moment. Too many
small little errors adding up.
Silly little errors, and this will hold up time that he could be pulling away from Devon, time he could be catching up to Gavin. And now he's got it past Devon for the third time in this race, I believe.
And the third time in mere laps.
Devon not going to make it easy. He's
going on the
hold
outside
on.
This time. Coming down to a scurry.
Let Nizmax go. Will he fight it? He's going to fight it.
He's going to fight it this time.
He's going to fight it. Don't know if he's going
to
be able to fight it after Parabolica. Seems like Nizmax really has Parabolica down to a fine art. Yeah, they're going side by side down the back straight. Maybe doesn't even want to wait for Parabolica. Wants to go side by side with him through Parabolica. But I think he's got the advantage. Yes, he does. He's got the advantage already. Devon gets the tighter line, but not making up ground on that Audi.
Can Nizmax actually make it stick this time?
This time it looks like Nizmax has got a bit of a cushion.
But Devon always comes back in this first sector, so let's see what Nizmax can do different this time.
Just to give you an example of what a mistake in an endurance race can cost you. That mistake cost Nizmax 7 seconds. The first time he passed Devon, the gap between himself and Gavin was 25 seconds, it's now 31. So lose a lot of time having to catch up, having to pass again. Now he's just going to get his head down for the next couple of laps and just clean air. Gavin obviously also in clean air. Big gap between second and third place, 42 seconds. You can call it 32 seconds if you want, because we know the man in second has a 10-second penalty. And winner's gap continues to grow. 12.5 seconds. And we've just passed halfway distance. So if you thought there's been a lot of drama, we're only halfway there.
I think we're going to see a lot more. Muna obviously got now, 14-second gap. A good buffer, stay calm, not doing anything funny. I think it looks like also the rain has subsided, but of course the track will still be wet.
Obviously now, don't know how it plays out on the game, how realistic the game is, but even if the rain has stopped, now it's at night, so I'm sure the track temperature is cold and
Well,
could actually take a while
for that like in day.
Could take a while for that track to dry out. Muna leads by 16 seconds, that gap continuing to grow. D-Man into the pits. D-Man into the pits. Let's see how long this pit stop is. Might give us an indication as to how much fuel he's putting in. Let's see where Gavin is out on circuit. Currently in 3rd place. Coming up to lap, I can't really see what that is, but I'm going to presume it's the judge because I saw a bumper that didn't look right. That is the judge. Yep, that's indeed. The Porsche.
The pig now coming to lap him. Obviously won't fight the pig as well.
Just check on the activity there. Just tyres coming off now. And there goes Gavin past the pits.
That puts him back into 2nd place for now.
Gavin promoted up to 2nd. Now, where is D-Man? And there we go. He's been released.
Might actually have D-Man.
Where is Nismax?
No, he's going to come out before Nismax.
Nismax just entering Parabolica as D-Man exits the pits. But there we go. He's heading towards turn 1. And Nismax is exiting Parabolica. So they're on the same straight.
Ooh, and now makes up there by D-Man into that chicane. Like you said earlier, spotting that breakpoint. You know, breakpoint in this wet weather. It's already a challenge in dry weather. So yes, and for some reason, and I actually experienced on the F1 as well, coming out of a pit, of course, you're on the inside, far inside, so you intend to be able to cock it up a bit. And I think that's exactly what happened there with D-Man. But managed again to keep a cool head and to avoid any unnecessary damage.
It's the same reason in F1 why I'm not actually particularly fond of trying to pass someone into turn 1 in Italy. Because when I find I'm on the inside, I mess up my braking point. I'm so used to coming from the outside and trying to use as much of the track as possible when turning in, that when I'm on the inside, I'm probably going to mess it up. So it's not a place I really try to pass down the inside unless I see someone's clearly buggered it up.
This match now with about 12 seconds gap between him and D-Man.
I've just realised I haven't looked at my phone in about 2 hours. So if anyone has been looking for me, oh look at that, 135 messages. Well, 136, 135 of them are all as a result of one particular WhatsApp group. So thanks guys.
Yeah, we just saw that shot again as D-Man coming to that chicane. Nismax of course is in Parabolica. Yeah, pick now a minute.
Right on board with Nismax. That got 12.5 seconds. It's really not far from a podium place now, is he? 40 minutes remain in the race. And then obviously they will finish the lap they are on when that clock hits 0. Another man who's had quite a solid race, Devon in 5th. He'll be happy with the result, considering he just managed to get in here. Qualified in 10th and had the best start of everyone. Nothing much happening at that gap between 4th and 3rd, so sitting around 12.5 seconds for the time being. Again, this match just sitting tight.
Yes, Max seems like he's really pushing it. But the gap between him and G-Man seems to be staying the same pretty much.
Came down a little bit in the last lap, 11.5 seconds now. He's just going to nibble away at that gap.
Bit by bit.
Bit by bit. And remember one thing that's...
oh! And G-Man makes it up again. And of course that will bring Nismax closer.
One thing that we've forgotten is Nismax is in 3rd place.
Correct.
Because of that 10-second penalty.
Yes.
So Nismax already potentially on a podium position. If he didn't know that, he knows that now. Because I know he's one of the guys that listens to the stream. Good job, 3rd place. Found himself down in 14th.
Just need to make sure the gap is below 10.
Just needs to keep the gap below 10 seconds. Currently at 11.7. So he's in 4th.
That penalty of D-Man will take care of the rest.
Just needs to bring it out of the double digits into the single digits and he will be on the podium officially.
Yeah, well, that's always easier said than done. Gap be going wide.
Gavin currently 2nd. Just really showing Muna's dominance on the night. Look at the gap
1 minute
between 1st and 2nd place on lap 28. 1 minute.
And Muna is in a league of his own tonight.
I think he's obviously put practice into this. I think he's put setup into this. I think he's put a little bit extra into this. Because Nismax was just beginning to run away with the championship. And I think he knew he really needed 25 points tonight.
If things change,
nothing less would do.
If things stay like it is now, that makes the championship standings a lot interesting.
It will definitely close things up. Obviously just that disappointment of the race that Muna missed out on. He got no points in that race. And Nismax took a chunk of 25 points. So Muna's going to have to fight back throughout the championship, but results like this will be a step in the right direction. That gap to D-Man just 3 seconds, so now definitely within range. Things were to end right now, Nismax would step onto the podium.
Correct.
Be one of those situations. Who was the driver that was if I'm not mistaken, it was Max Verstappen. Do you remember a race where Max Verstappen was already in that room where they talk a little bit of rubbish before they go out on the podium and they throw the towels at each other and they put on their hats. Yes. And Max was already there and they actually went and fetched him and he had to leave and Raikkonen entered the room. I don't know if you remember something like that. Raikkonen finished in 4th because Max passed him at the last minute. And then they deemed it to be an illegal move, and they actually went and fetched him out of the room and said, "Sorry, mate, he never stepped on the podium. Raikkonen stepped on the podium."
Yeah, but all the rules and all these freaking technicalities.
Actually, it was quite funny to see Raikkonen standing behind the FIA official with a grin.
Yeah, would give me also something else.
Gap now over a minute at the front, so Minna continuing to do the good work. Time remaining in the race, just over 30 minutes, or just under 35. We have lost a runner, and we did not see it when it happened, but we have lost a runner.
The judge.
The judge is no longer in this race. Obviously having some sort of connectivity issues. Just saw on my screen that he popped back on PSN. He had logged out of PSN, so something wrong on his side. And that's the problem with retiring from one of these races. The AI don't get points, so almost any position is a points-paying position, except when you don't finish a race. And then everybody's just liable to take a chunk out of your points position. Camera can't even catch Minna. Did you see that? That was impressive.
Yep.
I seriously need to drink something now. My mouth is very dry. So you choose a car, and I'm gonna let you commentate on that car for a minute or two.
Here goes for Minna. No, there goes for Minna. Bye.
You're gonna leave it on Minna.
Okay, that's cool.
Okay. Oh no.
Of course, that gap is still over a minute, not coming down. Minna really managing that gap well. Of course, now coming down to that first corner again. Gap of 1 minute and 5 seconds. Well, it's actually a good gap. Like this makes definitely like 2 seconds on the D-man. Max. No, looks like that gap is slightly increasing between him and the D-man. Gaff is now sitting constantly at with a 1 minute 4, 1 minute 5 behind Minna. Of course, I think it's safe to start saying it with half an hour to go. This looks more and more like Minna's race. Oh, and now it really looks like Monza. This is actually that shot reminds me a lot of Blank Pain earlier this year. The overcast, the mistiness, the rain, everything grey, low visibility. This is exactly how Monza looked that day with Blank Pain. There
we go.
Much better. Yeah, I just want to see with another one. Yeah, Chen of course is still there, running still in last place. Then of course the top 5 is all human control, with the guys between 5th and 13th being the AI.
We've just lost the one human runner, Judge. He's having some connection issues of some sort. Ooh, look at that.
Telling
Can
you
you see
that.
that shot?
I'm telling
All
you
you
that.
can see is lights.
It reminds me a
All you-
lot of that blank paint race at Monza.
All you could see was lights. Look at that.
That's it. This, to spot your distance here at your brake spot, ay, can't be easy. To pass in these conditions, you really have to be brave.
When it leads by a minute and 7 seconds. Absolute domination. Yeah, in Italy. Gavin second. Doing a fantastic job in the Renault.
But we don't know about that fuel load.
Things could end this way. I think it would be his best finish of the season, but those LEDs just coming out of the mist. Really can't see much. This is insane conditions.
That's tough.
Let's have a look at this view here, close to the ground. There's Max 3 seconds behind D-Man. Really doesn't need to pass him on track. If the conditions are too dangerous, he can really just stay here. We'll finish on the podium. Doesn't need to worry too much about the man behind him. Devin 54 seconds adrift in 5th place.
Almost looks like.
If it hadn't been for the 10-second penalty, I would have said that D-Man has done one hell of a solid job. I think he might have messed something up on the fuel though. He came out of the pits awfully quickly. And I think he probably filled up a lot more than the rest of the guys when they came in for wets.
Yes.
Gavin up into second. He's behind a very good looking Ferrari. If you can get past him without any issues.
Of course, that's the other thing. One thing to catch a guy, but to pass him.
Let's have a look. Yeah, and he's through. Hopefully doesn't run wide here. No, holds it together. Nicely done. As long as you don't get on the green stuff. And he gets on the green stuff.
And Gavin likes the green stuff.
I probably should, yeah. Yeah, I don't know what you might be referencing. I'm sure you're only talking about the green stuff on the track, obviously. Don't know what else you could possibly be referencing. But
oh, and he missed his brake
green
point
and
there.
also likeable. He's gone straight off at the chicane, takes out some of the polystyrene barriers that are there. So making a bit of a mistake. Doesn't cost him. But quite a gap to second place. But just 20 seconds. That. Oh, my timing screen jumped. What just happened? There we go. It's actually not an awfully big gap between Nismax and Gav. It's just 23 seconds, and in these conditions, anything could happen, and we really don't know what the fuel mixtures are. I did have a sneaky look at them earlier on, but that was about 10 or 15 laps ago, so we don't really know what their fuel looks like. Can they all go to the end? Does anyone have to stop in the last 25 minutes?
That is going to be interesting to find out.
Someone has to stop in the last couple of minutes. Don't think we're going to see this race go back to dry.
I also don't think so. Not looking at this.
Unless we saw an extremely accelerated process. I actually thought it was drying up earlier, but
clearly not.
This has got ridiculous. This has got worse. Now Gavin just having issues getting past one of these lapped AI cars. And in these conditions, it's the last thing you want. Is to see a car side by side with you who's not 100% sure where he wants to be on circuit. There's your leader. Where's your leader? Oh, there he is. And he's gone again.
you see those little lights there? That's our leader.
We don't have fantastic visuals here. You know, we could have streamed this in like 360 and no one would have cared. You wouldn't have been able to read the times very well, but as far as the racing goes, we'd be able to provide you with just about the same amount of footage. Because it's just a couple of lights. This Max still third. That gap, we're going to monitor that gap to Gavin. 21.22 seconds. Let's have a look.
Just up at lap times again.
Gavin had a 1 second penalty when we looked earlier on in the race. He's obviously got another one. Because that's a 2 second penalty. So something to remember, that gap between Gavin and Nismax, 20.9 seconds. Nismax does not need to pass Gavin on the track for second place. If he can get close enough, he can take it via the penalties.
Just need to keep it like it is.
The gap is coming down. I wonder if Gavin just made a mistake there. Gap for the longest time was 22, 21, 20 seconds. Now Gav's in the pits. Gavin is in the pits. Gavin is in the pits, and Nismax is going to be promoted. He comes around Parabolica now. We see his yellow lights come through the mist. Over the line he goes, and he'll be promoted up into second place.
Nismax takes second place.
Gavin down to third, and I'm too scared to say it, but was this a fuel mistake? I don't see fuel going into the car right now. I wonder if there's damage on that car, but he was in there for quite some time, and he's emerging now, but he's not on the racetrack yet. These cars will just get away from him. The podium's getting further and further away from him. Every minute he's not up to racing speed. He accelerates out of the pit lane now. He's going to want to be careful here into turn 1. I really don't know what I'm commentating on. But there we go. There's turn 1. Doesn't make a mistake. We've seen guys outbrake themselves coming out of the pits into that. But he was very cautious. You see the weather playing its part there. 17 seconds behind the D-man.
It's really
not all
tough.
is lost.
Imagine our view without having any of these displays. Gav goes deep again, too deep. Imagine not having these displays. What we have here, telling us who we're driving on board with. You would have seen everything, nothing.
Tells us so much information. I mean, Gavin right now, 17 seconds behind D-man. If he can close those 7 seconds, obviously he's going to have fresher tyres. Don't know how much that's going to mean in these conditions, but surely it means something. He's going to have fresh tyres. Okay, the gap's actually going up. But if he could close it to within 10 seconds, he could still regain the podium without having to pass D-man on circuit. But that gap is just growing slightly. So going the opposite way that Gavin would like it to be going. And as far as Munna goes, hasn't put a foot wrong.
No.
Led the race from turn 1 when he took the lead abruptly like that with a brilliant start. Nismax on the other hand, he's had a race of misfortune, and he got involved in an incident with Chen earlier on.
That's not gonna stop him going all racing.
Put him down in last place. The man he was involved in the incident with is still in last place. and Nismax has found his way back into second place. We were talking about damage control as far as the championship goes, and I don't think when he found himself a minute behind the leader in last place, I don't think he could have wished for anything better than second.
No.
This is a fantastic result for him. Over a minute and a half behind your leader. This is almost Schumacher Rainmaster at Spa sort of thing, winning by over a minute. This is ridiculous.
All that same track, Spa, 1 year, same conditions like what we're seeing here. We ran into Coulthard.
That's quite a famous race, because Coulthard at the time was being lapped.
Correct.
And Hakkinen went on to win that race. And there was a lot of speculation, a lot of controversy, a lot of conspiracy theories regarding that they thought, well, if we take Schumacher out of the race, Nico will be in the lead. David, you're having a terrible race. You know what to do. And I don't really believe it. I honestly just don't think Coulthard could have seen him. It was basically what you see on screen right now. That's what it looked like. And sure, Schumacher could see where he was going, but I'm not so sure Coulthard was aware of his mirrors. They were already useless objects in Formula 1. Your mirrors aren't the best things on an F1 car. And not when it looks like this and you're trying to keep the car on track and the last thing on your mind is looking behind you. Lead at the front continues to grow almost by 10 seconds.
You need to realize is it worth it.
We have lost a player.
Yep, indeed.
We have lost Nismax.
After all that hard fighting.
We have lost Nismax.
Oh no, after all that fighting.
We have lost Nismax.
Ay.
I just saw D-Man in second and couldn't understand why, but the Audi has disappeared from the circuit. And after a race, a marathon race, with just over 15 minutes remaining on the clock.
Fighting his way back.
And this is just, Muna just needs to keep things the way they are. This is perfect for the championship. If Nismax had stayed in second, he would have picked up 18 points to Muna's 25, which means he would have only lost 7 points in the championship race. But now he's going to lose a chunk of 25 points, as Muna did when he was disconnected 2 rounds ago.
Let's balance that out.
So the internet connections around the world
and so close,
balancing out Thursday Night Racing Championship. Can't even blame it on South African internet. Nismax isn't here. So the world internet balancing our championship for us. Doesn't look like he's making any mistakes now. Back 1 minute 50, almost 2 minutes in the lead. Gavin third, gap 15.6 seconds. Crucially wants to get that below 10 seconds.
You can only see the car once it's at the last point of that braking point.
No, really, it's really actually difficult to commentate on because you
can't see the car, you can't see that whole racing line at the back, what's happening in the background to the guy.
Let's try have a look what the drivers would see if they were using cockpit view. It's just a view of what drivers would be seeing, and you know, Gavin's car is still in very good condition. If you had a car with a cracked windscreen, just imagine that it wouldn't be helping. Gavin now getting stuck behind this AI, and that gap, 16 seconds. It's crucial that he closes that gap to below 10 seconds. Can land up taking second in this race. He's run wide. Doesn't want to hit the barrier. Hits it anyway.
But luckily it's
going to be
light.
damage on the left. Car's not going to feel fantastic in the closing stages of this race. Definitely tapped the wall. Devon not far enough behind for him to make a pit stop and maintain his position. Devon would pass him if he were to pit. And again, the AI car just getting in the way. Tries to maybe just cut across the chicane. Maybe thought he could snap in front of him, but it didn't work out that way, and this is now affecting Gavin in a bad way. That gap now, it was 15 seconds, then 16, briefly just hitting 18 seconds moments ago.
Just to remind you as well, Gav also have a penalty of his own. Oh, and he swerves out for the AI, and just for good measure, the AI is crashing into him.
Questions
and it's like you said earlier, it's AI being lapped.
Questions will be raised with regards to the AI. One of the drivers asked that something be done about the AI. Either it be removed or it be increased. It was increased, but it just seems they're still as aggressive as ever. They're just a little bit quicker, so they're more of a handful. And it wouldn't be a problem if you were racing them, because I mean, you know, it's part of the race. But
lapping them.
The moment you're lapping them, they should really get out of the way.
Exactly.
But they get side by side with you, do not give you a hell of a lot of space, and start shaking. And yeah, no, it's obviously now affected Gavin's race in the worst possible way. He had that gap down to 15 seconds. It's pretty critical that he can get that gap below 10 seconds. He'll finish in second place. Actually, I'm lying to all of you. He needs to get that gap to 8 seconds to finish in second place, because he's got 2 seconds penalty of his own.
Correct.
So that climb behind the AR may have really cost him that gap, 20 seconds now. So he lost 5 seconds in his attempts, and just looking through the mist, you see another potential locked car coming up ahead.
Last thing you want now.
Not looking good for Gavin. D-Man in second place with that 10-second penalty. He might actually be able to hold on to this. Gavin 19 seconds behind him. He's actually using his windscreen wipers. I wonder if Gav is just unaware of that feature. And also using the windscreen wipers feature. I can actually hear the windscreen wiper on my screen.
For a moment 40, when he's going to apply that brakes late, but he actually applied it very well.
I was looking for the judge, and then I just remembered that he was also one of our casualties.
Yeah, the first one.
Let's change this camera angle for you. Let's go back to our trackside camera. I actually got off this camera because you really can't see anything. Maybe if we do this, probably the best view you can get right now. Chen still in 12th, holding on for the points. Of course, he will get 5th place in this race, according to the points table. It's worth his while to hang around for the final 9 minutes, 9.5. That gap to Gavin not getting any better, still 19.3.
Unfortunately.
But Gavin will settle for 3rd. Could not make up the ground. There he is. As we join him, he's just jumping off some curbs on the outside there, so maybe running wide, a little bit wider than he would have liked. I want to ride the curbs in the wet.
You were talking earlier about if we had to have snow here, what would he say? But if you look at how slippery this year and the mist, kind of makes you actually think we snow.
I actually think Gavin's had a fantastic race. I mean, considering the season he's had,
Hey.
The things we've seen, like, you know, silly mistakes over and over, just really not finishing races. Just didn't really look like he had the focus for it at one stage, and today it's you're not going to find more testing conditions than this, and he's finished this, well, 7 minutes remaining, but he's in 3rd place, and
he showed tonight if he have a character, he can be patient. He wasn't like he's impatient, just forced his way through. He did an actual awesome race. Even the penalties was minimum compared to previous races where he could have done a lot better if he minimized his penalties.
Just the 2 seconds that we know of on his name. We'll check that timing sheet again.
Oh, and by the way, this Max got disqualified.
There we go. Went into the pits too hot and got disqualified.
There we go. And so many guys actually
was doing a fantastic job at the time. Came from last, found himself on the podium. It was disappointing, and cost him 18 points.
Of course, with one thing
it's
with
cost
the track,
him 25.
Well, the track is wet.
Championship.
With the track now being this wet, you can't try to push forward line and try to hit the brakes because you're never going to slow down enough. So unfortunately, again, the rain just caught a lot of guys actually off guard. Who have those braking points and now to do that part. Because if you on a wet track like this just suddenly hit the brakes, you're just anyway going to slide. Because there's absolutely no grip. I see Dan Gaff, but this AI just doesn't want to get out of the way.
Just don't want to get out of the way, really making life difficult for Gavin as he's trying to come through traffic. He'll be relieved that that AI car dived into the pits. They won't at least have to pass him. And he's got a clear track ahead of him as far as I can see, and I cannot see far. But 18.5 seconds is the gap to D-Man. That increases briefly, almost to 20 seconds, but that's because he's slowing down for turn 1.
Well, if you look at the current standings, of course, as we said earlier, no points for the AI, which means Chen will ultimately get that 5th place.
5th place, decent
Not
points.
Bad. Hanging on and rewarded for hanging on.
I think it's 10 points if I'm not mistaken. 12 for 4th, 15 for 3rd, 18 for 2nd. Yeah, so 10 points. Could be in the bag. Just needs to keep his patience for the final 5 minutes of this race. I wouldn't be surprised if Munna slowed down at some stage so he didn't have to do one more lap.
Goes under 5 minutes, yeah. So leaves you pretty much
Got a
with
2-minute gap to himself.
well, still leaves you with 2 full laps. A possible third one.
Let's have a look trackside if these conditions have improved. No. No, they have not. It's just difficult to use this camera angle because you're constantly going to be looking at nothing. Four minutes to go. We are almost at the end of round 5, and it's been a round that, if it were to finish like this, been a round that has brought Munna back into this championship. Exactly what he would have wanted, a full 25 points, while Nizmax, he would be hoping Nizmax claim the least amount of points possible, and well, he's collected none. So I suppose it's good for the championship at this halfway point. Just over 3 minutes remaining on the clock. Just check your timing screens one more time. You don't get any surprises on the penalty screens. Nothing to speak of there. E-Man with a 10-second penalty, but we already knew that. Gavin with the 2 seconds, nothing changed there. And then 10 seconds for Chen, and I don't think that's going to make much difference.
Some of these cars are actually pretty. Just a pity now with Weaver you don't see much of him.
Don't see much of the track, don't see much of the scenery. Or the greenery here in Monza. Everything looks the same color.
I think this is safe to say this should be the second last lap.
Just a couple of seconds. Well, there we go, 2 minutes remaining on the clock. That's about a lap time. Where is the leader?
When all you see is lights.
So here's the leader. Now honestly, I see the car, I see the lights, I know I'm in Monza, and I'm like, right, what part of the track is this? Like, yeah. I need a few corners to realize where I am. This is really bad conditions. I think he's going through Parabolica now. Yes, that's Parabolica. Okay, so a minute remaining.
Looks like he's going to get in another lap. Yeah, he's going to get in another lap.
He's going to go over the line, and this will be his final lap. He'll hope to cross the line one more time in about 2 minutes from now, when he takes the victory here at Monza, round 5. D-Man, second place.
Flash some lights for D-Man. Sure.
Gavin in third, still holding firm. Hasn't been able to close that gap as I predicted. But I've just noticed something, and that's pretty bad. That's very bad.
All I see is 2 white dots, which is the light.
That's why I haven't noticed it. Do you see it now?
Yes, wing is gone.
I'll point it out. His wing's gone.
Gone.
He has no wing. and we know that those cars can become very undrivable in dry conditions.
Luckily
when the
for you,
wing is
but now
gone.
he goes to the pits. That should be the last, because time is over. That should be.
Really didn't. Maybe should have just held out for the final lap.
Yo.
Was Devon really going to be faster than him by 40 seconds?
Now with
There
a
we
pit
go.
stop.
He's on his way immediately, but that's not going to be enough.
I also
Yeah, he's sitting there for quite some time. And where's
Devon?
Devon's in sector 3. He's a bit going down the back straight now. Approaching Parabolica. Whereas Gav
okay, he's
is
on his way,
emerging from the pits. Love to tell you where Dev is, but his car is white.
Just something, a few things happening just to make it interesting.
And there we go, Gav is out on track. Been able to.
Can he pick up speed now before Devon is there?
Race with your leader.
There we go, over race. Well done, Muna. Muna takes the race win. Well done, Sunshine.
There's Max just there on the stream.
Well done, Muna.
Obviously supporting after the race was over, saying well done, Muna. Good sportsmanship there between your two championship contenders. And then let's not forget, fantastic drive from D-Man.
And it looks like Gav will bring it back in third.
Devon in third place. Be a good tally of points. 15 points for him. Best result of the season, I think. Going to be corrected.
No, he was actually second place in the first race.
Fantastic drive.
It was him and Muna that were going at it in the first race until the tragedy with the petrol. Hence Gavin gets so hard time from us about the petrol.
That's right.
Well done, Piggy.
Nicely done, goes over the line. Nice that. I believe. So got just the
Devon
countdown there on the screen. It's officially on 10 as I say that. So 10 seconds to go and we'll be done.
Yep, now it's 5 seconds to go.
Took me 6 seconds to say that. Fantastic. And that's that. I'm just going to read through your results as they appear as quickly as I can, because these things don't always stay. Winner won your race, and he won by quite some distance. The D-Man in second, Gavin third, Devon in fourth.
And then of course the last human play will be Chen, which will get fifth place. And then just
going down to, as Max was disqualified, and then Chen in 12th place. Best lap of the race came early on in the race. It was Muna with a 1:49.0. And then obviously the rain came down, and any chance of beating that lap was gone. And not only did the rain come down, at some stage we didn't know what part of the circuit we were on.
And it came down, it came down heavy, and it was misty. It was challenging. But yeah, most of the drivers made it through. We only had two people we lost. I'm not sure what happened to Judge, but of course, as we know, Nismax were disqualified, a little too eager to get into that pit. But yeah, that is it for tonight. Thanks for watching. If I'm not mistaken, there's no race next week. We take a mid-season break, kind of like that summer break thing in F1. And then the week after, we're back with round 6.
See you next week, guys. Thanks for watching.
Cheers, guys. Till the next race. Cheerio.